Welcome to the Divine Quotient podcast. Around here, we go way beyond small talk. We're talking soul to soul with truth, purpose, and what it means to live a spirit led life. I'm Tilde, the creator of the Divine Quotient. Get ready for real stories, deep laughs, and those aha moments that light you up from the inside out.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Tilde. In a world that seems to be saturated with chaos and crisis, I wanted to create some good news and show how there are still many good people doing great things and actually being the change that we want to see in the world. Today, my guest is my friend Terri Maxwell. She's an investor, business growth expert, inspirational speaker, and an author. She's the founder of Share on Purpose and a business growth strategist who has built and transformed over 50 companies. She's devoted to growing leaders and businesses that align profit with purpose, making a lasting difference in the world. Thank you, Terri, for being here. Really appreciate
Oh,
you taking the time.
it's so good to see you. You always light up my life every time I see you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. So let's get into it. We only have 30 minutes. So tell people your story. What made the pivot for you in your mindset? Because you were already building businesses and had also sold your business. And then all of a sudden something happened. Can you talk just a little bit about that? Tell your story.
Yeah, so in the 90s, I'm older than I look. In the 90s, I've always been a growth strategist, and in the 90s, was president of an internet company, and we took the parent company public. So I got a chance to experience that, which was really cool. September 11th happened, the dot-com bubble burst, and I left that company and started my own growth strategy firm. Sounds great, right? It's going to be wonderful. And so from 2002 to 2008, that's what I did. We had some of the largest brands in the world, and they came to us to grow them. But in early 2008, I just had this realization that I felt like I was just growing things that didn't matter. And I had plenty of money. I had a great team that worked for us. We had 40 consultants, most of whom were all employees. We had a well-known brand for being a growth strategy firm, but I just felt like my life didn't matter. And so I sold that business in pieces and started over with this crazy idea. There had to be a way to use my business growth skills to grow things that really mattered in the world. I set up like a purposeful Shark Tank and started investing in purposeful ideas. I lost a boatload of money in the beginning, failed miserably. But eventually I knew I was on the right track. My spirit led me. It was very soulful. You know, failure is a funny thing. It kind of washes out ego and washes out the illusions that you're telling yourself. And I knew that I was on the right track, and I just stuck with it. And eventually things started to work. And today we've got 5 companies that we own, and then a lot of investments that are all purpose led. So the first zero waste makeup and skincare line, you know, we're an investor in that. Shifco, you know, you're an investor with me in that as well, which we make a difference every day in Shifco. And I love what I do, and I can't imagine doing anything else. I wake up every day and I get to grow things that matter.
Now, and that's beautiful. Right? And we love to do what we're passionate about because we do feel that it's a calling, right? It's more of a mission that we're fulfilling, sort of a destiny. And that's what makes it fun and exciting and adventurous. It's like, okay, what's next? At least for me. Like that's my mentality. It's like, what can I create next? And create it from this place of what I call alignment, divine alignment with the creator. And so for you, what's the driving force for you? What was the driving force for you when you made that pivot? What changed in your mindset?
Yeah, great question. I at the time that I made the pivot, I had more than enough money. So it was not about the money. The problem was it wasn't about the money. And so I in essence created a negative nonprofit, even though it was supposed to be for profit, because I was putting more money out and I wasn't really building business models that were sustainable, which is almost like I went from one extreme to the other. And then I had to come back to the center. And the center is what I call living in the and, A and D. And in the end, you can do purpose and profit. You can make money and do good. You can do things that you're passionate about, but also do things that are hard and stretch you. And so now I have 4 intentions that I look at every day. I'm looking at them right now. One is I want to live my purpose and make a difference. That's number one. And it trumps anything. So no matter what I'm working on, if it starts to veer off purpose, I'm like, stop. Number two is I want to grow leaders who make an impact. Too much of what I was trying to do was about me and my ego. And so now I really want to grow leaders who make an impact. So in our portfolio of companies, our employees learn how to run the businesses themselves. And so, one of our largest brands is Ignite on Purpose, and an employee's worked her way up from an entry level position. She's now managing director of that business, and she runs that business. 3 is I want to be ridiculously abundant and have whatever I want. That is an intention for me. I expect to have a Maui beach home, and I expect to live a life of luxury. I believe that you can have both. And I want to be abundant because I want to give from a full cup. I don't want to give from a half full cup or a quarter full cup. I want to give from a full cup. And then lastly is I want to positively impact the world through conscious business. I believe there's a better way to do business. And I believe that when you put impact and purpose at the center and let profit fuel that, it's a better way to do business. So those are my 4 intentions. I look at it every day. It comes up as a meeting with myself. The first meeting with myself every day is to remind me of what those intentions are, to keep me and my ego in check from, growth at all costs and all those types of things.
Yeah, I love that. And one of the things I love about the collaborative work that we did together in building ShiftCo, because I learned so much from you as our leader and as the visionary for that, and being part of that team was invaluable to me on many different levels, not only on learning how to build and grow a business, but also just the collaboration and the co-leadership, that and environment that you actually created for everyone to be a part of that. I just want to thank you publicly for your leadership in that, for your vision, and for guiding us all to be able to bring such a beautiful vision to life and to continue to see the impact that that's having on so many conscious business owners. And the reason that I say that is because a lot of times we think we know what we want and we want more money, or we say we want more money. And you really helped me with this. But in reality, I want freedom. I want the freedom. I want the freedom to do what I love. I'm generous. I'm a very generous person. I love to give. Money affords me the opportunity to give back, to be able to not only have a life of luxury, which I want also, but for me, it's like, what can I give
Right.
that has an impact? And so when you think about that, and I read something recently or watched a video, I can't remember, about true prayer. When we pray for something, it's not that we're praying for that person, place, or thing. We're praying for the experience that provides. And so that really helped me to see how my mindset has switched years ago in not wanting necessarily people, places, or things, but the experience of a healthy relationship, the experience of having wealth and abundance, right? And so can you talk a little bit about that? Because that's a major shift that most entrepreneurs don't even think about, or asking. It's like, yeah, I want more money. It's like, really? Is that really what you want? So can you just talk a little bit about that? Like, how do we go deeper?
Yeah, I think there's 2 things I would say about that. There's want to and intend to, and there's 2 other extremes that I won't get into because I think it would be too confusing. But I've kind of mapped out these 4 levels of human potential, and level 2 is want to, and level 3 is intend to, and that difference is where power is. So I can want something all day long, but if I truly intend to do it, then my actions are going to follow the desire. And most of the time, our actions don't follow the desire. So it's not truly an intention. So I think that is number one. And number two is the other thing that I've learned specifically for conscious founders that have founded a conscious business. The business grows as you evolve. You can have the growth strategy all day long, and I use this with our board and Shiftco all the time. Is I've never once hit any of our growth goals, but what happened in the process is I and the business evolved in the way that the divine wanted it to evolve. And it is better for it. And so I had to learn to be patient with that. I had to learn to be patient with myself. I had to be honest with myself of my areas of development. And we had to ask for grace, in that, this happened. And it's the right decision to slow down the growth to do this, but I don't like it. So those would be the two things is, when you really think about human potential, level 2 being want to, and level 3 being intend to, the magic line that you cross is your actions follow your desire. And then secondly is you get what you want by consciously, by your evolution, not by magic and not by, pounding the rock and trying to, make things happen.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because that was another big thing that I learned about myself. The amount of time that I had spent in masculine energy versus feminine energy was drastic. And so I was totally off balance. And for me, that was always finding myself taking action. And where the feminine energy is about receiving, intuition, nurturing, compassion, and that collaborative, where the masculine energy is about simply, well, not simply, but it's taking action and, just taking action, not really listening to their intuition, but just being a driving force in things. And when I stopped and I started to balance the two, and being able to receive the intuition and then taking action, and I think that's what you're alluding to with the intention, right? It's purposeful intention. It's intention from that place of alignment where we receive the intuition. And this is not gender-based. This is like everybody has the masculine and feminine energy. But I think if you look at the world, it has been mainly in a lot of this masculine energy of power over people instead of feminine energy of power with people and collaboration. And so for me, it was such a drastic difference in the way that I started to feel like the peace, that I didn't have to prove anything. I wasn't driving, and I had to practice this. Like I had to catch myself when I would start to drive towards something. As soon as I have an idea, I would start to drive toward it. When instead of just sitting back and listening, like, is this really what I'm supposed to do now? It doesn't mean it's a bad idea. It's just, am I supposed to do this now or later? And so that required a lot of self-awareness, new self-awareness, for me to be able to pull the reins on myself and to slow down. And I think self-awareness, in building that, we have to slow down. We have to learn to slow down and nurture both that feminine and masculine energy. Is that what you've experienced in your life, and what you've seen, like the struggle, some of the challenges and struggle that other entrepreneurs kind of face themselves?
Well, I would say, honestly, I haven't mastered that. So I'll just put that right out there. I'm still very much a driver, make things happen kind of person. Anybody that knows me knows that. So I'm still working on that. What I would say, though, is to put a pause between the idea that is created and the effort that it takes to implement it. And I, like many founders, go from idea to action too quickly. And what that does is it closes out the space for collaboration. So it shuts that door. It closes out the space for the divine to really say, look, Terri, there's an easier way to do that. So I'm still working on that. But what I do know is that there's a lot of want to out there, but there's not enough intend to. And I think it's getting clear on the difference, and at the same time putting the space between the idea and the action, which I'm quite honestly still working on.
Yeah. And one of the things I've been playing with, you and I talked about how I'm playing with God and have been playing with God for several years now. One of the things that I was shown in this divine download is because I was reading about business and the return of investment, the ROI. And all of a sudden I just heard return of intention. We need more return of intention,
I love
right?
that.
Because we're constantly focusing on this ROI, the bottom line, and sort of not taking into consideration the impact that that's having on people, places, the environment, things like that. But with a return of intention, and it's not getting rid of ROI, it's living in that place of and that you said, and combining both the ROI, the return of investment, with the return of intention, and how that beautifully can actually balance, people that want to create businesses with a purpose, with that purposeful intention to actually make a difference in the world. That's just kind of something that came to me, and I was just like, oh, I love that. And so I'm still playing with that to see, because a lot of my clients are entrepreneurs and conscious entrepreneurs at that. And so trying to figure out a way, it's like, okay, how do we play with this, then?
Man, I love that. That you got to run with that. That's phenomenal. And I think that, society globally and certainly in North America is going through a pretty major metamorphosis. There's a book that I read recently that really helped give me context, and it's called The Fourth Turning. The book's been out for a while. He's got a second book going, The Fourth Turning Is Now, which I think came out in 2020. But it really gave me context to not get too worked up about what's happening, and to just allow things to unfold and know that we're moving to a different plane, energetically, emotionally, economically. We're moving to a different space, and we're moving from a fourth turning back to a first turning. And these turnings are like these cycles that we go through. And in the first turning, it's all about intention and alignment. The fourth turning is all about destruction and chaos. But the destruction and the chaos have to occur in order for the new thing to be born. And I know that's true in my life. I know, because we've known each other for, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 years. I know you've experienced that as well. Is you need that pruning to occur in order for the fruit to be, the harvest to be bigger on the next level. And I think that's what's happening. And so you ought to absolutely run with that. Return on intention, I think, is powerful. And I think that we're seeing it. I think people just don't know how to actualize it. I think they're feeling it. I think they're sensing it, but I don't think they know how to put it into practice. And so I hope that you run with that. I think that's a brilliant idea.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I think it comes from that place of divine alignment. It's like, and what's happening is this awakening. And until we awaken and remember, in my opinion, who and what we really are, and start to look at things from our true identity, divine being, having a human experience, and coming here to actually create things that are good, holy, and beautiful, I call them. Then from that place, those are the types of businesses that will live in the end, right? Create the ROI, because you don't want, it's almost like the way that it's being shown to me now is this return of investment is the masculine, and this return of intention is the feminine energy. And how beautiful for all of us to be able to dance and balance that together, but it comes from that place of remembrance and awakening to who and what we truly are, coming from a place of love and abundance and peace and harmony, instead of trying to force and make things happen, because that's when it doesn't, like, there's an end to that. And so the evolution, I think, is what I've turned in the Divine Quotient. We've gone from IQ to EQ to now DQ. And it's not getting rid of IQ and EQ. It's really that remembrance of what I call spirit leads, mind follows, the body then acts. Instead of allowing our emotions and just to live in this unintentional way. So I want you to briefly talk about how your childhood has played a big factor in the way that you think, the way that you show up, and your drive. I mean, even for you and I have this in common, coming from traumatic childhood, and now how that really is this passion and this love to help people. So, talk a little bit about that and how that healing has shaped you.
Yeah, wow, that's there's a lot to unpack there. But I grew up in a 600 square foot trailer, rats and roaches. My parents were raging alcoholics. I was abused in every way possible. That's the short story of a lot of trauma. But there were people along the way that helped me, my grandfather, neighbors, teachers, and I always honored them. My grandfather taught me some of the best lessons of my life. You get what you focus on, you get what you give, those types of things. But I remembered recently I was really struggling, and he was a calm man, very, very calm, didn't say a lot, but when he spoke, it was just very powerful. And I remember one day he sat me down and he said, look, you've been dealt a difficult hand of cards. You get what you focus on, which is something he'd already said. But I want to help you understand that. And he kind of poked me like right here in the heart. And he said, you have the power to create what you want. It is not your parents. It's not the trailer. It's not even me. And he poked me again. You have the power to create what you want through your heart. And that lesson, probably energetically more than anything else, stayed with me. And then I kind of went to the opposite extreme, that I'm going to prove that I'm good enough, because most of my life I didn't feel good enough, by conquering the world. And so I chased all this success and certainly found it every step of the way. I was very fortunate, very blessed, and very driven. But what I realized is it wasn't the success that I wanted. What I wanted was for my life and my work to matter. I get very choked up when I think about that. And I think that's why I veered to the opposite extreme, with share on purpose and investing too much and all the mistakes that we made. Is I wanted it to matter, but what I was missing is I already mattered. What I needed to do is live from the place of self-worth where I mattered. Yeah. So that also is a bit of a kind of coming back to the center, that I already matter. I'm already a child of God in every fiber of my being. And rather than trying to matter by achievement or trying to matter by giving too much, what if I just mattered? And once I kind of had that awakening, and I just remembered him, tapping me on the chest, and I said, well, I have the power to just matter. And I don't remember when it was, maybe 3-4 years ago, that I started living from that place of just mattering and letting my work be an extension of my self-worth and my mission, which is to elevate the very nature of business. That's my mission on this earth. I'm just going to live from that place. So I think that's the full circle of how the childhood really shaped me. There's not a day that goes by that I don't take time to remember and honor what it took to get out of that. But there's also not a day that goes by that I don't remember the people who helped me. And I just want to give back like they gave to me. And sometimes it's as simple as recognizing somebody's hurting and reaching out and saying, here's my calendar, let's have a quick talk, and seeing them for who they really are, valuing them for who they really are, talking them off the ledge, which is what I do with most founders every day, is talk them off the ledge. But I do it now, rather than that I have the answer, I do it from, I see you, and I see that you matter, and I see that you have value. From that place, let's talk about how to make an impact based on that value.
I love that, Terri. That's so beautiful. And, I have this boundaries boot camp coming up, starting on Wednesday. It's 4 weeks. And what I've learned in establishing my own healthy boundaries, and working with clients, helping other people do the same thing. The reason we can set healthy boundaries, but the reason that we don't keep healthy boundaries is because we don't value ourselves.
That's right.
We don't find ourselves worthy, right? And we keep chasing and people pleasing and thinking that, by being flexible or, that people will see us, people will hear us, people will start to treat us differently, will think that we matter or make us feel like we matter and that we are worthy. But in reality, it's an inside job. I have to believe it. I have to, and not only believe it, I say this all the time. It's not about just believing it, because a belief can change. I have to know it. I have to know it, and I have to change my own energy to show up, because when you know something, it just is. It doesn't change. And so now, in valuing myself, in seeing that I am worthy, that I never have not been worthy, like there's nothing I have to do, there's nothing I have to prove, that's power. That's loving ourselves with compassion. And so then those healthy boundaries are easier to actually keep, not only set, but keep, because I don't want to betray myself. I feel so peaceful and so in love with myself that I don't want to do anything that I'm choosing to betray myself and to put me out of peace. And not to say that my life is perfect or anything, but even in trials and tribulations, I'm still at peace.
I love that. And if we go back to the kind of want to versus intend to, a lot of people want to value themselves, but they don't intend to value themselves. And that line, crossing that line, is where the power is. And the switch, it sounds like, that you made is, not only do I want to value myself, but I intend to value myself, which means I'm going to learn how to do it. I'm going to practice. I'm going to learn from what doesn't work. I'm gonna, I made a bill of rights when I was working on that same thing, and I created a bill of rights for myself. That was a powerful thing, because I intended to step into my self-worth. And that bill of rights, every now and then, about once a year, I'll pull that back out, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm doing about 75% of that, but let me pick a couple of things this year to work on from that bill of rights. So you made that shift from wanting to intending to.
Absolutely. And so I call it the invisible line, right, between fear from where we are to where we want to be, is this invisible line that can seem like a wall because we're afraid to do something different. And the only way to realize that there's no wall, that you can actually move through it, is with the help of the Holy Spirit and the divine that gives us the power and the courage when we remember who and what we are, and get to the other side and realize, like, it was just one big illusion.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's stuff that we make up in our own mind.
Absolutely, it is. Absolutely.
So can you, is there anything happening or that you're working on currently that people can, know about, or join you, or Shiftco, or any of your other companies that are happening?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, I've been doing, as you know, research over the last 5 years on what I call the conscious business forecast, and kind of where that space is going. And this year, for the 2026 forecast, I realized, which will be published in January, I realized that nonprofits and social impact companies are going through a major metamorphosis. So on 10/22, we're doing a working session. You can find it on Eventbrite. So that'd be October 22nd. It's in person if you're in Dallas, or you can do it virtually. And I'm going to share with people what's happening and why it's happening. But then I'm going to give them a very actionable strategy for how to take advantage of, whether they're for-profit, nonprofit, or social impact, how to take advantage and set themselves up to win in 2026. So that's key. And then I think on shiftco.org, if you hit the resources and check out the events, I mean, we have 3 really powerful events every month. One of them is a networking event. You help facilitate that. That's called Gather and Grow. And then the other 2 are training events, but they're free. They're community based. It's our way of serving. So I would invite people to those as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. I know you have a coaching call that you've got to get to. Always so good to see you and to know that ShiftCo is doing so well, and we're just helping people. I'm super excited to be part of that and very honored to be part of that with you.
Yeah, and thank you for the work that you're doing. And I really want to encourage you to run with that return on intention. That's big.
Yeah. Thank you. I feel it too.
All right.
I
Keep
love
up the
you.
good work.
Thank you, everybody.